Good afternoon, Ghana. It's 12 o'clock. Time to reach for mobile water. Mobile water, unique in every way.
Stop Galamsey, still on. Hello, good afternoon, welcome to the Midday News. The Midday News is live on Joy 99.7 FM and hits 103.9 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and myjoyonline.com. We're also live in all 16 regions of Ghana via various affiliates, live on X Spaces and Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams. Coming up this afternoon, NDC legal team raises preliminary objection challenging the jurisdiction of the High Court and the competence of the mandamus application filed by some 4 NPP parliamentary candidates. We have details on the arguments in court and the fierce response from the EC and NPP. We are live there as the court defers ruling on the preliminary legal objection to tomorrow, 1st January 2025. Also, President-elect John Mahama expresses optimism his proposed National Education Review Conference will tackle sector-wide challenges.
And so I believe that there are nuggets of wisdom that will come out in a stakeholder consultation like this, where we have the parents, we have the educationists, experts, we have the students, we have the teachers and everybody.
Details as the University of Ghana Vice Chancellor calls for a dispassionate national discussion on sustainable funding for higher education. Also, description of President Akufo-Addo as the greatest Ghanaian of our time at the just ended National Honours and Awards draws huge public uproar, with some labeling it as insulting.
Because there was really absolutely nothing about any of them that deserved it. It is better not to have this than to go and be associated with other people that you would say, why would these people be on it?
Details plus calls for reforms in organization and criteria for selection of award winners. Later in the bulletin, get ready to dance all night at the JoyFM 90s Jam this Friday, January 3 at the Pleasant Gardens in Jolu as we celebrate Ghanaian legends and global hits from their timeless decade. We'll bring you excerpts of the fun from previous events.
That's a long way to go, but I start to stay.
Sounds from the High Court after a deferred ruling on the preliminary legal objection to tomorrow, 1st January 2025. Earlier in court, the NDC raised a preliminary legal objection challenging the jurisdiction of the High Court to hear a mandamus application filed by 4 NPP parliamentary candidates seeking to compel the EC to recollate results in their constituencies. The objection also challenges the competence of the application. According to lead counsel for the NDC and their parliamentary candidate Edwiji Kujo-Tamaklo, the mandamus application is an election petition in disguise, and the High Court does not have the jurisdiction to hear same. Member of a legal affairs desk, Kweku Asante, sat through proceedings and now joins us with details. Kweku, what are the arguments led by Edwiji Kujo-Tamaklo to back these arguments?
So this case was presided over by Justice Faustin Japan, like you mentioned. When it comes to lawyers for the NDC, was led by Godwin Edwiji Tamaklo. He also had as part of the team former Attorney General Marietta Briapio-Pon, Dr. Basid Aziz Bamba, and Osafo Boabin. For the NPP side, Gary Nimakon Mafo led the team, Dr. Kweku Ajimambudu, Shadrack Obinyeboa, and Nanaye Beni Akon. And then when it came to the Electoral Commission, that team was led by Justin Amenuvo. According to Edwiji Kujo-Tamaklo, and he was basing his argument on Section 16 and 20 of the representation of the people law. And he argued that if you look at the motion paper that had been filed by the MPP parliamentary candidates, as well as all the documents supporting same, this case was simply an election petition that was disguised as a mandamus application. He spoke about Section 16 of the Act I just mentioned, providing that the validity of an election to Parliament may only be questioned by a petition brought under the Act. And then Section 20 said, election of a candidate may be declared void if the High Court is satisfied there was general bribery, general treatment, and general intimidation. But if you look at the Electoral Commission, when it purported to annul the results in those constituencies, it said that the officers had been intimidated into declaring those results. And he said, if those persons have been intimidated, the only place you can lead evidence to establish the intimidation was by way of an election petition. And so he also raised questions about whether or not the issues raised are a matter of intimidation, for which reason the trial judge in an election petition will make a determination. He went on and cited several cases for which reason he said back the case that this was simply an election petition disguised as a mandamus application.
We know the NPP and the EC have been responding.
Yes.
What have they been saying?
According to Gary Nimako, the objection that Eduji Tamaklo raised was clearly misconceived, and that the authorities that Eduji purportedly cited had no application to the current case before the court. He said, and I quote, "The parties are not here to cancel results, as there are currently no results. Hence, council cites sections. He cited section 16 and 20 of REPA, and he says it does not have any bearing on this case because, as far as they in the MPP are concerned, there is currently no election results, for which reason one would say they should go by way of a petition." And the explanation is that when it comes to mandamus, it is an application to compel a public officer to conduct their duties. The NDC case is that if the duty has already been conducted and you want to challenge same, you need to come by way of election petition. But the MPP said no election results had been declared. And then they had Justin Amenuvo for the Electoral Commission. When he stood on his feet, he only had one question to ask, and that formed the basis of his submission. He says, how does the person who has raised the objection expect the court to say whether or not there has been a validly concluded election without going into the affidavit? And that is when Eduji go back on his feet to respond that if you want to look at whether or not the election had been concluded validly, then it's by way of Article 99 to challenge that. And so all these arguments were made before the High Court judge. And the judge, after listening to all of this, said that the ruling cannot come today, but tomorrow, 1st January 2025, it's a holiday, but the Chief Justice had issued a warrant that all these election disputes can be dealt with when it comes to these matters. And so right after court, we caught up with some of the lawyers who did not want to speak because of the judgment tomorrow. But the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, says that if you look at the basis of the case they've made in court, they are confident they are going to win.
A court process may be slow, but with surety you will get the results when you know you are on firm grounds. What it is about this, simply put, the Electoral Commission itself has stated with emphasis that there is no such thing as a declaration of results in Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, and Tema Central, as well as Domiko Abenya. So they have already administratively declared those results as illegal, and the Electoral Commission is doing its work. So this argument that they declared results is neither here nor there. However, we have firm belief that in the end we will be victorious. There's no rush. We are following due process. You realize that initially they were on a path of violence. At least we've managed to bring them to the courtroom. We have managed to bring them to civility. We have managed to get them to abide by the rules.
So, Kweku, that's the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Tomorrow, the court will be sitting again.
Yes.
What should we expect?
So, two things mainly. The court will rule on the preliminary legal objection that has been raised. If they rule that the court does not have jurisdiction, then they will dismiss the mandamus application. if the court rules against the NDC that it does have jurisdiction to entertain this, then it will go into the merit of the mandamus application. It will hear from the NPP and the applicants, and then it will hear from the NDC as well and their candidates who are interested parties in this matter. And so first leg will be cleared as to whether or not the court has jurisdiction to entertain this matter. And then if it says it does not have jurisdiction, then it won't even go into the merits at all tomorrow.
Okay, thanks so much, legal affairs correspondent Kweku Asante. Trust him to keep tabs on that. Tomorrow we'll bring you up to speed on everything that happens at the court. But let's stay on politics. The National Democratic Congress (NDC) has described its victory at the 2024 parliamentary and presidential elections as a triumph of the soul of Ghana against the perceived decadence and corruption of the new patriotic party NPP government. Speaking at the 43rd anniversary of the 31st December Revolution, NDC General Secretary Fifi Fiavikwete criticized the current administration for unprecedented levels of greed, selfishness, and policy failures.
Selfishness became totally unparalleled. We've never seen that level of greed and selfishness. The corruption, the decadence, the depravity, totally unheard of. And in the midst of all that, the policies were not spot on. So poverty became endemic. The poverty in the hearts of Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia and his government spread across the whole country. So naturally, the soul of Ghana will rebel. That's why NDC comrades, when we celebrate, I want us not to forget that this victory essentially has been the victory of the soul of Ghana against the decadence of the NPP. And just as Ghana rallied against NPP, if we don't understand it, it will not be long. The soul of Ghana will rally against the NDC.
You had General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Fiavikwete. Let's cross over to my colleague Collins Frimpong, who is currently at the Nungwa Town Park where the celebration is ongoing. Collins, what can you report?
So, Maxwell, currently the 31st December Revolution celebration has ended, and it ended with the NDC party chairman, that's Johnson Executive Secretary. But before him, Dr. Izinato Rollins, who is a member of parliament for College constituency, also spoke at the event where she urged the NDC party, she urged the NDC party not to allow arrogance to characterize their party's next government after January 7th, when they are being sworn into power.
My fellow comrades, it's not enough to have good leaders. We as the citizens must also make sure we are keeping our leaders and ourselves accountable and on the path of the straight and narrow. That is the only way we can bring Ghana to her former glory and make Ghana truly the pride of this continent yet again. We have presided, or perhaps we have been unfortunately part of a group of people who have weaponized our democracy against us. That is not what democracy is about. And we have a solemn duty to restore the power of the people. But as citizens, we must not think that government is us and them. We make up the government, and we have that responsibility. So please, let's not look at a few people who are holding positions and think that they are the only ones who are responsible for doing what is right. We must all steer this country back on track. We must not allow arrogance, pride, and hubris to fill our hearts because of this victory. Because that will be the beginning of our downfall. We must maintain that humility. We must maintain that integrity. We must maintain the principles on which the revolution was founded.
You had NDC MP Zanato Rollins. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Works and Housing, led by Committee Chairman Vincent Opon Asamoah, is this afternoon touring the Sagami housing project following last Tuesday's inferno that burned down 2 containers serving as storage facilities for hardware meant for the completion of the housing project, which has stalled for over 7 years now. Committee Chairman Vincent Opon Asamoah expressed concern about the current state of the project.
What's your assessment of that?
It's terrible. This is about our third time of coming here, and those materials have been here for over 10 years. And leaving it at the vagaries of the weather, you can imagine what has happened to it. The question we keep on asking ourselves: if we had used our own money, pocket money, to procure this, would they allow it to go waste the way we have done it? We have spent over $200 million to procure all these items, apart from the structures we see here. The materials too, also a cost to the government. So if we are leaving it the way we have left it for 10 years, and most of the materials we cannot do anything with it. And that is what we have done to ourselves as a country. That's the way we treat ourselves. So to me, it is not the best, but we'll take it from there. Because this structure, the structures we see around, we need to complete the structures for Ghanaians too.
You hear the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Works and Housing, Vincent Opon Asamoah. My colleague Prince Kudoga is on the ground for us. He joins us via the phone. Prince, what findings did the committee make?
Well, Maxwell, so the committee toured the facilities at the Sagami housing project site here to ascertain the level of damage that was caused by last Tuesday's inferno. Now, after they toured, the committee members expressed their heartbreak at the deterioration here. All the facilities here, most of them have deteriorated. Some of the committee chairman, after he spoke to me, he told me that the contract for security here was given to the Ghana Police Service, and as an oversight committee of the Works and Housing in Parliament, they will have to hold the Ghana Police Service to the committee in Parliament to answer questions as to how the project site was left for serious steps to take place, and the project deteriorated to this level.
Prince Kwame Kudoga there. Let's turn our attention to some education stories now. President-elect John Mahama has expressed optimism that his proposed National Education Review Conference will address challenges at all levels of the educational sector. Speaking when the management of the University of Ghana paid a courtesy call on him, he said an organizing committee will be formed comprising educational experts to put together the conference, which will bring all stakeholders together. The final report validated before implementation begins.
In our educational system. And that's why I suggested that we should hold a National Education Review Conference and look at what all the bottlenecks are. The interpretation was given that I wanted to abolish free SHS, and that's why I was calling for that meeting. But it is to look at the whole, we've done it before, and indeed there was one such educational dialogue that brought about the GET Fund when Spew Gabra was Minister of Education, and that is what brought a 2.5% VAT to finance solely education. And so I believe that there are nuggets of wisdom that will come out in a stakeholder consultation like this, where we have the parents, we have the educationists, experts, we have the students, we have the teachers, and everybody who is a stakeholder participating, so that we can look at basic education, we can look at secondary education, we can look at tertiary education, and take some decisions that will create the kind of reforms that give the students a quality learning experience at any stage of the education chain in which they are. And so we look forward to working with you on it. I think that we're going to form an organizing committee that would include people from tertiary, educational experts and others to put this whole review conference together. I'm sure there will be breakout groups that will specialize on various issues, and then we'll synthesize a final report, and once we validate it, it will be available to start implementing. And so we're looking forward to that. As I've consistently said, the free SHS has come to stay, and we're not going to cancel it.
You had President-elect John Mahama. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Amfo, lauded John Mahama's vision to integrate the hospital's management into the university system. She said there's a need for a dispassionate national discussion on sustainable funding for higher education.
I'm happy to hear of all your plans for UGMC. I remain at your disposal for us to quickly get back to the drawing board and discuss matters and see how we can properly situate the running of the hospital within the university system as originally intended. I do believe that you have a big task ahead of you, and I am sure that education is a huge part of it. I mean, there's no point for me to go over why that should be the case, but also just to mention again that higher education needs to be a big part of that agenda. I think that first of all, there's a need for us to have a dispassionate discussion regarding funding, sustainable funding for higher education. A discussion that will bring on board all the critical stakeholders.
You heard Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Amfo. Ranking Member of Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Nochukoto, has called on the future government to prioritize the payment of fees to work to avoid future delays in the release of examination results. According to Nochukoto, the government's failure to pay WAEC on time has resulted in delays in the release of examination results, which has caused inconvenience to students, parents, and educational institutions. Nochukoto's comments come after the recent delay in the release of the 2024 WASI results, initially scheduled to be released in August, but were delayed due to the government failure to pay fees owed WAEC.
Government must release the money. So the delay is as a result of government's inability to release funds to them. We know that candidates from private secondary schools, they pay the full cost for the examination. There's no subsidy from government for them. And I can tell you that all the preparatory work that are done by WAEC in releasing the results, in making sure that they register the candidate for examination, WAEC spends on fees paid by private candidates. So if no candidate has paid as a private candidate, WAEC would have found it very, very difficult to even go through the registration process. And that is not good enough for us. I feel that the Ministry of Education has not prioritized WAEC in its disbursement activities. So I will urge that going forward, WAEC given that opportunity, that they are resourced at the time that they need money, so that we don't experience this type of delay going forward and backward. We don't experience it again.
Right.
You heard Peter Nochukoto. Time to go for a breakdown. But later in the bulletin, description of President Akufo-Addo as the greatest Ghanaian of our time at the just ended National Honours and Awards draws huge public uproar, with some labeling it as insulting.
Because there was really absolutely nothing about any of them that deserved it. It is better not to have this than to go and be associated with other people that you would say, why would these people be on it?
Also, get ready to dance all night long at the JoyFM's 90s Jam this Friday, January 3 at the Pleasant Gardens in Jolu, as we celebrate Ghanaian legends and global hits from the timeless decade.
Where did I? Now I don't know many just are.
Obiang, what to chrome her? Ain't you want to say petrol super energizing drinks for motion? Hey boy. Petrosol are celebrating their 10 years in grand style. They're giving back to their loyal customers. Hope you have registered at their online portal. Don't say I didn't tell you all.
Each month, customers will stand a chance of winning items like tricycles, motorcycles, television sets, refrigerators, phones, fuel vouchers, and many more. But the best part is that at the end of the promo, we will be giving out a grand prize of 2 Suzuki Espresso cars to lucky winners who stay with us all through the promo period. All All you need to join is to visit any of our over 100 stations across the country to get registered, or go to www.petrosolcrm.com to register online.
Petrosol, energizing dreams.
Crown 2024 with power. Finish the year with the Kairos Experience from Sunday, December 29th, 2024 to Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. Join host the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams.
Whatever the enemy has planned and programmed concerning you and your family, in the name of Jesus, let the Lord turn it for good.
Don't miss any of these services. Sunday, December 29th, 2024, 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. Monday, December 30th, 2024, 6 p.m. The Kairos Night Crossover Service, 31st December 2024 at 9 p.m. and New Year Communion Service, Wednesday, January 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. End the year victorious with power, revelation, and divine audacity. The Kairos Experience.
Welcome back from the break. You're still listening to the Joy Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Imani Africa President Franklin Kujo has expressed his disapproval over the description of President Akufo-Addo as the greatest Ghanaian of our time during the recently concluded National Honors and Awards ceremony. He characterized the accolade as an insult, arguing that it disregards the contributions and sacrifices of other Ghanaian leaders, past and present, who have shaped the nation. Speaking on the Super Morning Show, Franklin Kujo was also disappointed with the ministers who were awarded at the ceremony, questioning their contribution to Ghana in their roles as ministers to merit such an award.
Absolutely nothing about any of them that was deserving of a mention, not even to even get an accolade that comes along with an award. So, his packers believe really that there was even the ceremony in the first place. But of course, there may be others there. And even there were too many names that are known already. It looks as though it was just a list for popular mentions, really. I don't know what those people have done. I don't know what Elsawaji has done at the bank. I don't know what Ernest Anderson has done at the Bank of Ghana to merit an award. I mean, they left us huge, humongous debt. And for crying out loud, just kept on especially supporting the monetary policy, essentially just being at the beck and call of the fiscal side of things. It was just disgraceful. I'm surprised that they could even be mentioned at all in a league of this extraordinary failures. But in any case, as it is, there are a number of people there again that, I don't know what, frankly speaking, I don't know why the likes of, anyway, I heard you said the politician list is an infamous list of infamy. They shouldn't be there for.
You heard Franklin Kujo. The executive director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Abrahima, was equally unhappy with most of the awardees at the National Honors and Awards ceremony. Mr. Abrahima said he had wished Joy News' Erastus Asare-Donko had rejected the award after President Akufo-Addo failed to tackle the activities of illegal miners, which were brought to light through Erastus Donko's compelling investigations.
If this is, national awards, you want it to be such that once it is mentioned and once it is conferred on someone, the person feels so proud as having accomplished. But I honestly believe that there are people who would have received these awards yesterday and would go away telling themselves, if I knew this was how it was going to be, if I knew all these other people were going to be awarded alongside me, I possibly would have declined this, because somehow it is better not to have this than to go and be associated with other people that you would say, why would these people be on it? And I think Franklin has gone through a number of them. And not to say I hate anyone or I dislike anyone, but there are legitimate questions to be asked, because these are public awards conferred on people.
You had Suleiman Abrahima. Now get ready to enjoy the best of 90s music and culture at JoyFM's 90s Jam. Now this exciting event will take place on Friday, January 3 at the Pleasant Gardens in Jolu, Accra. It starts at 6 p.m. and will go and keep going all through the night. Come and dance to unforgettable hits from Ghanaian stars like Reggie Rockstone, Achiame, Daddy Lumba, Koju Nchi, Sonny Bale, Bookback, Obrafo, and more. Now listen to excerpts of the fun at the 90s Jam from 9 years ago with DJ Black behind the turntables. Yeah. No, I feel like rapping this song right now. Rapping along.
You feel free. Feel free.
Jackie is in the studio together with a man with many names. Nana Boache Yadom Dankwa.
Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom Abapiu.
Hey! It's the last day of the year.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing one. A lot of trends.
A lot of trends, eh?
Guess what? Just guess what? On the last day, when you should redeem yourself and go to sleep and wait for the 1st of January, you are the topic of the town.
That's interesting.
3 disciples are trending.
Yes.
3 disciples.
Yes,
they are not disciples who joined Jesus.
Disciples. What do you call them in Chi?
Disciples. Esianfo.
That's
Guess their names.
Hi, MFA. How are you?
MFA is in the studio. MFA, can you see us? Have you been to Facebook? Have you been to Twitter? Have you been to TikTok?
I'm surprised to see her name all over, but why is she trending though?
I don't know. Maybe I'm standing by somewhere, somebody saying his thing. Why am I trending? Well, MFA and also Jefferson Saki alongside
Jerry Ajololo.
They're trending. They started trending after the national honors yesterday.
Yes.
Why are they trending? Because Jerry, alongside his 2 co-hosts, MFA Pau and Jefferson Saki, declared President Akufo-Addo the greatest Ghanaian of all time.
Wait, do you just say?
Yes,
you agree?
No,
they said
it. That's why.
We're just repeating their words. And guess what? Ghanaians cannot let them go scot-free.
They are roasting them.
I
can see MFA burning in the studio.
I wish we could end this already.
They are grilling them.
MFA wish the event never took place yesterday.
Anyway,
but you know, away from that, this year the biggest trend was I think Chef Smith. Yeah, we were trying to go through the trend.
What's he doing?
No, I think he's
going to take up another attempt.
No, I think he's planning another coup. Another coup.
But then away from that, we have Shetawale live in Jamaica trending. I think he's supposed to perform alongside Vibes Cartel tonight, and he's trending. But then you talked about the 90s Jam, and I think it's the perfect time to put in this old song by Daddy Lumba. I mean, it fits in whatever thing.
Yes, into the fact that some people declared President Akufo the greatest Ghanaian of all time, and they are being roasted, and also the fact that we are waiting for 90s
and being cooked.
Hello, MFA. See you. Happy New Year.